So, I have to re-record this because I messed it up. Anyway, so I have my chicken breast here. I don't know how the angle is going to work on this, but I'm going to try and show you as best as I can how I get things done. So, here's chicken breast. I got it at Winco. Usually you can get it, no additives or anything like that. Let's see if I can position this in a place that you can actually see what I'm doing without too much messing about. Alright, so here's the chicken breast. Normally when I fix this stuff, I'm more prepared, and I usually have somebody to help me videotape, but I don't. So I use one of these pans for baking the chicken. I always bake my chicken because it gets rid of the most fat. Chickens don't have a lot of fat, the breasts don't at least, but it's easier to do it this way and catch the fat in the drip pan than it is to have to worry about getting more fat in your diet than you need. So usually what I'll do when I remember is I will put a little water at the bottom of the drip pan. Kind of keeps the chicken moist while it's cooking. As well, it also makes it easier to clean when you're done. So, close the fridge door here. Forget to do that. One of the things that a lot of people don't tell you about going on a low-fat diet is that when your brain is deprived of certain fats that you're normally used to, you get forgetful. You're really forgetful. So it ends up that you lose your train of thought a lot of the time. So I have these scissors that we use for food, and usually only food alone, only food. In order to guarantee yourself that you're not getting nearly as much fat as you normally would when you buy these. Now these are really, really low fat. They look great. The only thing that I like to do, first off, so pick yourself up some olive oil spray, and this helps you you're basically just lining the pan with it. You don't need to oversaturate them. That's all you need to do for oil. So when I'm preparing my chicken, I usually try to wash it off. Gets all the blood and stuff off that you don't want in there anyways. So when you're seeing things like this is pretty low in fat, but I want it to be lower in fat. So what I'll do is I will trim that off. Chicken does not need that much to cook with. It actually doesn't really need any fat to cook with. You already have the olive oil in the pan, so you don't really need all this extra. Now, some of you might think, oh my God, it's going to take forever. It really doesn't. And on top of that, when you're working with your own food, it kind of gives you a sense of ownership over what you're doing. So that one's ready. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't take long. It takes like a couple seconds. Sometimes you can just tear it off. Sometimes you gotta cut it off. But just get it off there. You don't need it. It's just more fat that you're gonna have to burn off anyway. And my theory on that is, why do more work when you don't have to? Alright. You know what you're putting into your body. You know what you're trying to get out of it. On top of that, when you're doing this, you're going to notice sometimes the butchers aren't nearly as well-to-do as you would want them to be. And they miss stuff. They miss like a little bone or a little piece of cartilage here and there. And I just got it there. I just got a big old fat piece of cartilage out of there. It would not have tasted good. It'd probably thrown me off my meal when I was eating it. So it's always good to inspect your food and prep it before you cook it. Now, I already preheated the oven. I do 450. Set it in there for 35 minutes because even for the fattest, sometimes you don't have to do anything. It just comes right up. Even for the fattest chicken breasts, I found 450 at 35 degrees, or 450 degrees, 35 minutes. It's pretty ample time to cook them all the way through. Now you're going to get pieces like this. You just cut in there. You're not getting rid of any of the meat. You're not wasting meat. It's all fat. It's fat that you don't need. And you're not going to want to eat it anyway. Plus, it's less fat that you're going to have to drain out and clean out at the bottom of the pan. So, take this little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and it serves you in the long run. It really does. Now, I don't get it all. I don't get it all off, but I get the majority of it. Odds are, unless you harvest this thing yourself, you're really not going to be able to get all of it off. But, like I said, you're going to get the most of it. And it's that little bit of work that goes a long ways. A lot of these dieting programs and videos and stuff, they tell you a basic idea of what to eat, but they don't tell you how to do it. They kind of leave you in the dark there, and it kind of sucks. Some have recipes, but most of them don't. But yeah, they kind of leave you in a lurch like that, and you're just kind of left. That's why it's so daunting to some people. They end up thinking, oh my God, I'm supposed to cover all this nutrition, but they just kind of glaze over it and leave you wondering what you're supposed to be eating and how much you're supposed to be eating. Some have calculations, and some calculations you can find online. But for the most part, they don't. So I thought I would make a video kind of helping you to understand what I do and what's worked for me many times over. Because, most places don't. Right? They just kind of leave you in the dark and let you figure that shit out for yourself. And I get that. There's part of this that you kind of have to want, But not on your first run. I mean, on your first run, it's daunting enough as it is. You know you're going to be miserable. And not to say that I'm miserable, but, you're going to be challenged. And not everybody in the world responds to challenges as well as I do. As well as you might. Who knows? I don't know. I'm only speaking from my own experience. I like looking things up. I end up kind of becoming a health nut. I'm health nerd, I'll call it. Because it fascinates me how the body works. Now, like I said, we're not going to get all of this off. Some of it's just going to stay there. But this prep will highly outweigh the time that it takes to do it. Plus, again, like I said, there is something to be said about physically handling your food. Makes you more aware of what you're putting in your body. And, yeah. It makes you a lot more conscious about the food you're eating. Now, if you split off some of this, don't worry about that. Just put it back in the pan with it right next to it, and cut it up later. And just use it as one of your pieces. One thing I will recommend doing is picking up a food scale. I don't mean a male scale, I do a food scale. You want to be able to measure fluid ounces, grams, and metric ounces as well. There's lots out there on the market. Amazon is where I got mine. Costs you like, I think mine costs like $10, something like that. I'm going to wash my hands. Let me show you what we're left with here after you get rid of all that fat. That's 6 chicken breasts. Yeah, pretty lean chicken breast too. I try not to mess around too much, but that's all the fat you get off of there. Hey, well, and that's a lot. I mean, look, one in the other room. So, what we're going to do now, we got 6 of these. So we're going to prep them. A few of the things that I use cayenne pepper, turmeric, and I'll explain why I use these in a second. Cumin, black pepper, loose ground black pepper, and Himalayan pink salt. Seasoning is one of those things that is kind of a fine art. You might know better seasonings than I do, or you might just use these. So, cayenne pepper. My kids just came home, so I'm trying to figure that out. Cayenne pepper. I use cayenne pepper pretty diligently throughout the whole chicken. Every piece gets some. Cayenne pepper is a thermogenic herb. It helps increase your body temperature. So it also helps in the fat burning process, which helps with your metabolism. Turmeric is a great digestive aid. It helps break down proteins. It helps with joints. It's just really great overall. Let's see. Cumin is one of those that I use more for flavor than anything else, and it goes great with chicken. Pretty much any meat. Cumin is, except for fish. I don't know if fish goes great with cumin, but I use it a lot, and it smells great. And smell is part of food satisfaction. Then you have black pepper. Black pepper. I'm going to have to use my hands for this one, so I'm going to throw you back over here. I like to put black pepper on with my hands, just because I like a lot of it. It helps you digest proteins, and helps your heart, and helps you break down parts, things in your body. It's also a thermogenic as well. The other one is Himalayan pink salts. These are pretty readily available now. They didn't used to be a few years back. But Himalayan pink salts, they come ground, fine ground, coarse ground, whatever you want. And they come in little statues that you can breathe from. It's a great salt. It helps you retain water when you need to for your muscles. It's also it's great. It has a lot of magnesium in it for the electrolytes that you're going to lose through the sweat and the water and all that. So just a dusting, because you're not using a lot of salt, in my diet, I'm not using a lot of salt. Now, you can mortar and pestle these all up and make it all look all pretty and unified. I don't really care about all that because I'm going to taste it in everybody anyway. You can move it around and all that. Doesn't really matter. You're still getting the food. You're still getting the spices. You're still getting the effects. I will be in there in a second. I will be in there in a second. So, the oven's set at 450. There's nothing special to it. Throw it in there and say goodbye. For 35 minutes. After that, it's just boom, cook. Cut it up. Usually what I'll do is I'll grab some gallon freezer bags. I like the zipper kind, but grab some gallon freezer bags. I've actually got some that I got to pull out anyway. I'll show you. And I'll throw like 2 or 3 in a bag, and call it good from there. It's pretty easy prep to do. And while this is cooking, you don't have to be watching it. You don't have to be like staring at it or anything like that, because you can be doing whatever you need to be doing. But yeah, it's super easy prep, and you don't have to mess around with it too much. But yeah, that's what I do for my meal prep. For my fibrous carbs like broccoli or green beans, I usually buy frozen because they're just as good as fresh and have the same amount of nutrients in them. Don't listen to the hype; they do. Same as canned, as long as they're not in like a salty brine or anything like that. But yeah, you just put them in a big bowl like I did today. Put them in a big bowl. Throw a bunch of hot water in there. Get it as hot as you can. Throw a bunch of hot water in there. And let all the ice crystals and all that stuff. And basically you're just defrosting it without cooking it. And then once they're done, you throw them in your container and divvy them out between your meals. With sweet potatoes and brown rice, it's basically the same thing. I cut up my sweet potatoes into tiny little cubes and bake them. I think 435 for 15 minutes, turn them over and cook them for another 5 minutes, get a little bit of char on the edge and crystallize and get the sugars and all that. Those are the main sugars that you're getting for meals, because I don't do sugars either. So yeah, that's how I do my meal prep. It's super easy. It takes, obviously this took a little longer because I was showing and talking and all that, but usually it takes less than 5-10 minutes to do meal prep, and then you're on your way. Those 6 will probably last me 2 to 3 days. So I have another package in there that I have to do as well after this one's done. But eating $20 a week. I've lost 5 pounds this last week, and I plan to lose even more when I get down to my goal, 185. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you learned something from what I'm doing.